Good morning everyone. My name is Laura Stranks and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator here in Brisbane, Queensland, Australia. Thanks for joining me today for my video. Just a couple of things before I start. As I mentioned, I'm from Brisbane. I have a group page which is called Laura's Craft Room Tips and Tutorials. So any of the projects I do on my videos, you can get the PDF in the files section there. There's also photos attached to the PDF, and some of them have layouts of the pieces in case it's a little bit difficult to follow. But if you watch the video, you'll find it quite easy. I also have a Facebook page called Cards by Laura. In there I've got lots of cards. I haven't put any in there for a little while, but might update some today. That's just cards that I've done over the years. I do sell my cards through there, and I also sell my cards at market stalls just around the place. I'm thinking of starting up another class on a Sunday just with technique type cards, fancy folds and 3D projects, so hopefully that'll kick off in the next month or so. Today's card, it is called Easy Twist and Pop card. I put easy at the front because I have done quite a few of these twist and pop cards over the years, and I've always found that my inside mechanism and panels hang out, or I can't get them quite level at the bottom and the sides. This one is so much easier, and there's two panels in two separate pieces inside that are exactly the same size, and it makes it so much easier. I've chosen on this one, I've chosen the I'll just get the paper out and show you, which I almost forgot. It's the Countryside Inn. It's coming up in the new catalogue, and I've used quite a bit of this. It's very pretty paper. My favourite colour is blue. You will see, and I'll show you the back sides. This piece here, it has got foxes on it, which I wasn't particularly interested in, so I chose the back side of that. And also the bird one is not too bad. I don't mind the birds on that one. And there is another one with little bunny rabbits on. Okay for Easter, but I wouldn't put it on just a normal birthday card. But the back of that is very pretty. This one here has just got flowers all over it, which is really, really nice. All blues. There's 4 different shades of blue in it. This one here has got trees on it. I've chopped up quite a bit of this pack, and it's really, really pretty. So that's the paper I chose for this one. The one I'm doing today, I'm going to use, it's called, I'm still getting used to the names of these, Fresh as a Daisy. This one here, which I wasn't sure about at first, but I do love the papers in it. I've chosen mainly this pattern here with the daisies on, and the background, that's that one, and then the back of this is really, really pretty, more blue, as you can see. That is good for just a background piece of paper. This front piece here, it's got all different size squares. When you cut it, I cut this piece off, then you'd have to go in different directions because they're all in different spots. But they are good for bases for a card, different size cards, or just a little feature piece on the front. There's lots of other pretty patterns in here. That's the full piece of that other one. Pretty bright green, yellow. That, if I used that, I would just use a small piece of it, not a full sheet. But it is pretty. Like that one, that's really nice. The one I'm doing today, you'll see when I open it up, the panels inside. This flower was a little bit big to put on a small panel, so I chose the smaller pattern. That's really, really pretty. That's the Moody Mauve, the new colour, one of the new in colours, and that's that one, and then we're back to there. So that's the paper I'm using today. I'm also using the Cheerful Daisies stamp set, and dies. I'll just show you what I'm using today. This is really, really pretty. I've chosen these stamps and dies. This one here is a full die, which cuts out a lovely detailed piece. I did cut the leaves off that, and I might put them in underneath in a different spot. A nice frame in there to do your greetings. But that's one of the new sets. And I also chose some greetings from this one that's carried over, artistically inked. I've chosen the hello and the best wishes on that one. I'll go through those bits as soon as I get to them. Now I will undo this, but I won't tie it up again. I did leave my ribbon a little bit short to keep doing on and off. This is beautiful ribbon, but it's a bit chunky for tying a bow, I found. So today I'm just going to use some twine to tie my front bit up. So we undo this. All those were out of the set that goes with this paper. And then when you open it up, it comes out like that. And what I said before, why it's easy, because this panel in here is smaller than, you'll see when I get to it, I'll explain it when I get to it. It's inside the perimeter of the base. So, and when you fold it down, you can see here, it's shorter than the normal, the base of the card, so it won't hang out over the edges. And I found it really, really simple to do. Just follow my instructions. I won't do that bow up again, but I will mention when I do a bow, I turn it upside down to tie the bow so that it ends up the right way. I don't know if anyone else knows that, but I do that all the time. So I'll leave that one aside and we'll get started. As usual, I've prepped all my pieces. I've got here the measurements of my pieces. I'll just leave that there for you. So my base, and I've chosen a colour that I didn't think I was too fussed on, but it did go with this paper. It's the same colour as the little centres in the flowers, which it's called Copper Clay. So my base measures 11 by 4 1/4. So, and I've scored that in the centre at 5 1/2, and we'll just fold that. Actually, I'll fold it the other way so the cut line's on the inside. We'll get to that in a second. Now, the mechanism and the cross panels, which are, the mechanism is in the back here, and then the cross panels are these across the front. So there's two pieces, two separate pieces there. These are both the same size, and they measure 10 by 3 3/4, and they are the same colour. And I haven't scored those yet. I'm going to show you where to score on those. They're both scored differently. The DSP in my background, I have chosen the muted panel for those. They measure the same. They will come in here on that piece. They're 5 1/4 by 4, and you need 2 of those, and you need to remember to put those in before you put your mechanism in. DSP tangled up there. The cross panels, these are 3 3/4 by 2 1/4, and I've got 4 of those. 1 2 3 4. This one, and I have numbered them because I had them in a pattern. So that's number 1, number 2. I cut them so that the pattern would be running all the way across like that, but they will be separated a little bit. They go across the front of this piece here. I didn't put mats behind because it made it a bit thick, but you can if you wish. I've just used the DSP on the base cardstock. So that's those 4. I've just put in a bit of scrap basic white for these little panels here, and any decoration you put, so you can work out how much scrap you need for that. I've only done 2 greetings on this one today, which is that one and that one, and I've stamped it in the copper clay. So I'll put those, they'll go inside. This flower piece I'm going to change. I noticed this down, and it is quite pretty because you've got the DSP showing, but on the next one I'm going to put that down the bottom. I was going to put this one on the front, but I changed it around a bit. The front basic white, and I have got a mat around the front, is 5 1/4 by 4. That'll come in on the front here, and the DSP for the front, which I've chosen that same pattern. It measures 5 by 3 3/4. So that's those two. And then the back basic white. I did do 2 pieces of this. So this measures, if you cut it at about 4 by 5, and then I did die cut with these deckled frame dies. So that's the bigger one there. I just thought I'd put a mat on the back against that brown instead of just the white. And then the white piece is just pick that up. The white piece is the small next size down, and it would be, so you could, that would then be the blue, and this one here, if I go by the die, that's about 5 by 3 1/2. If you cut it at that, then you'll get that one out of that, and that will sit on the top of that, like so. That will be our back panel. So that's all the pieces. I've got a little hello for the front, as well as this. I've cut that out of the dies, out of the Cheerful Daisies dies. I assume everyone knows now that they've put the dies and the stamp set as the same name, which is so much easier to find your dies when you want to look them up. I keep my dies in with my stamp sets, like so. Then I know the whole bundle's all together, so if I'm looking for something to make, I know the dies are with it. If there's a set where it's just frames, they're on a magnetic sheet inside my cupboard doors. I have done a craft room video. If you go back a few videos, there is a video there on my craft room layout. That is the Stylish Shapes dies, one of the dies out of that. And the colour for the stamping was copper clay, and I'll get to all that in a minute. So we'll get started. I hope it doesn't take too long for you. We'll just put all that aside. We'll start with the mechanism. I'll put all that over there. Actually, we can glue these down to start. And I'll make sure, now when you do this, make sure it's nice and even at the bottom and the sides. And I'll just get my bone folder, which I've got here. Pull that aside. Give it a nice burnish. And we will stick these in now. I will use Tombow on some of the pieces, and I'm also going to use my tear and tape. I find with a card that's opening and shutting all the time, you're better off with some tear and tape so it doesn't lift up too often, I think. And glue, you've got to wait a few minutes for it to dry anyway, so this will be much quicker, although it does take a little bit of time to put the tear and tape on. I haven't done any of that beforehand because I want to show you actually how to score and fold your mechanisms and your front panels. So we'll just stick that on there. Then we know we won't forget to do that. That's got to go down before you put your mechanism in. So that's those two. We can leave that aside for a minute. Now, the mechanism, and I will watch my instructions so I do it correctly. This will be what I call the mechanism, and the other part I called the cross panel. So that is the cross panel, and this is the mechanism at the back. So this one, and you will need your scorer. And as I said, it's 3 3/4 wide, so we want half of that, which is 1 7/8. So we're going to score that in half on the short side. Doesn't matter which side you do first. We'll do the short side, and then in half, which it was 10, so it'll be 5 on that side. Now, I did watch a video where she just pulled it and burnished it, but I found it easier if I've got a mark and a score line. So from that centre score line, which you can fold, doesn't matter which way you fold for now, just makes it a little bit clearer to see, across there, from that centre score line, across, and just put a little pencil mark at 1 7/8 on both sides. 1 7/8, and down the bottom here at 1 7/8. You'll see when you get to it, I found this easier to do. 1 7/8 is there, just tiny little pencil marks. Don't know if you can see that on the thing. Then back to the trimmer, I'm going to score on a diagonal from that pencil mark to this pencil mark. So just put the little pencil marks in the track. Some of these, they did freehand fold it, but I like it nice and straight and crisp. And then go the other way, that little pencil mark down to this little pencil mark. And we'll score that one. So you end up with a cross in the centre and your score mark along the whole length of it. Then we're going to, and this is a little tricky bit, we will fold these. Doesn't matter so much about the little one. Now, we will fold these as well, this way, just to make it a little bit more pliable when you're wanting to fold them. So now you're going to bring this up here down like so, and it's going to go level with, oh no, this, yeah, over at that score line. We'll go down there. It's this centre score line here that's going to come across. I hope you can see that. It's going to come across like so. Now, recrease your lines if they're not exactly where you want them. You need that score line across the centre parallel with this score line here. So you're just doing a crossover fold. And as you can see, my score was a fraction out. Then you're going to go the same way this way. Where am I? I'm here. So this centre score line here will come across and meet that centre score line there. And you're going to burnish that. So it's just a matter of folding on your score lines. The centre score line here comes across. I'll keep going with that. That centre score line there comes across and meets this score line across here. And then the same the other way. And just burnish those. Now you're just going to work this a little bit. Pinch these two side pieces like so. Just pinch them in and it will come in. And this one's turned out perfect. And you will end up with what I call a little house, like so. And you just want to make sure that that's fairly even down the centre there. And this here, which the one I did before, on this one, it was a fraction out, but it didn't matter because you can't see it anyway. But that there is level with the bottom as well. Both sides are even. Give it a good burnish on all those. I find doing that little pencil mark and scoring it, it's much easier than trying to freehand score it, freehand fold it. It's sort of much more of a guide. So I'll just repeat that. This score line here is going to end up with this score line here, like so, and the same with that way. That score line is going to go across and meet that score line there. Then just pinch those into the center and you'll end up with your little house. Now I'm going to put the tear and tape on these now so we know where it's got to go. And I put quite a few pieces. I did cut my first one on an angle, and you can see when we get to it. So we'll start at the bottom here and put a piece across. And I'm not going to tear it, I'm going to cut it because I want that angle. Then I'm going to flip it around because the angle will be the correct way. And I'm just going to put 4 pieces across, that across there. And you'll do this on both sides of the top of your little house. Just cut that there. Flip it around again so your angle's back the correct way. I do recommend putting 4 pieces across so it will not come apart, because this is the bit that's going to open and shut all the time. And then just a small piece up the top here. It doesn't have to go right to the point. That's sufficient tear and tape to do it. Then we'll do the other side the same. If you do both of these together, you're not trying to wiggle in and out when you're getting it on the card. You can, if you wish, to use liquid glue. It's not hard to line this up. I know some people, it gives you a little bit of wiggle room, but this, it's just centering it in the middle of your card, so you don't really need a lot of wiggle room. Just make sure you don't drop it down before you got it in place. Just keep flipping this, and your angle of your, I like my tear and tape right to the edge instead of square cut. And that's those 2 pieces, and we'll just go across those with our bone folder so they're nicely stuck down. Then our base panel, which we've already done, what you're going to do, and I can take the pieces off this top one. I find the easiest way, now you're going to center it here. This point here needs to be just, don't worry about the DSP piece, it's going to go a little bit above that, but it's going to go just below that center score line. If you can see that there, it's just below. And then make sure it's centered on the 2 sides. And all you have to do is hold that there, like so. Then we can take these top pieces off. I find doing this way, just get my little tub for my scraps. You can take these off before you center it up. So we've got that centered nicely there, nice and straight. And just below that score line, then all you're going to do is bring it shut. How easy is that? And then because you've put your tape on the other side already, we'll open this up and we'll take the tape off the back. The backing off the tape, I should say. Off this side, and you'll do exactly the same and just close it shut. And as you can see, it's not going to hang out at the bottom of my card, and it won't protrude over the sides of the card by making it that little bit smaller. All the other, and I did some of quite a few years ago with this, and they made the mechanism right to the edge, and if it wasn't sitting straight, it would hang out, and it wasn't very good. So it works like that. These, they don't open up completely. That's probably as far as they go, but that's how it's meant to go. So it just goes like that. Right, that's that piece. I'm going to push that. Now, the next piece, I'll get that, put that aside. That's all we need to do on that piece. This one here, all you're going to do is score it into 4 sections, and they are, where am I, cross panel, at 2.5, and there's a couple of different ways you could do this. Better not lose my pieces. I'll put that over there. You could score it, this is 10 inches long, so you could score it at 5 inches down the centre first, or you can go, I go 2.5 this way. They're all even 2.5 sections, so you can do 2.5 that way, flip it around and do 2.5 on that side. Or you could start off, go 2.5, 5, 7.5, and that will give you the same measurements. There's a couple of different ways, so long as they're all 2.5 inches apart. Now we're going to fold this down the centre that way as a mountain fold, so that's what we call a mountain fold, and then the 2 outside ones come inwards as a valley fold. So both of those will come in, and we've got the mountain fold, so it'll end up like that shape. Okay, now I'm going to decorate this before I put it on the main section of the card. So I'll make sure I get these in order. That's number 2, number 4. I'll put that aside, that's for the front. Number 3, and they're all up the correct way. So we'll just use a little bit of liquid glue on these, just to make it a bit quicker. And I probably will want a little bit of wiggle room here because you want to get them nice and straight. So these will just go across here, and I've cut them too long by the look of it. Yes, I have. What have I got? Let's try and cut the 4 of 3 3/4. I'll just cut this one and then I'll cut the other. 3 3/4. That is 3 3/4. Why is it too long? We'll just have a look at that. Maybe I've cut this too narrow. Maybe it should be 3.5, I think. Where's my ruler? Yes, it's supposed to be 3.5. I will adjust my measurements on the thing. I'll just cut this off to 3.5. I'll do this one on here. I don't normally cut with glue on this, but I'll clean it all up later. And I'll change, excuse the noise, I'll change that. That should be 3.5. It's not a video unless you do a mistake. That's better. I think I measured the same size as the width of the panel, and I'll cut all these 3 together at 3.5. Actually, we can use our little trimmer. I don't use this very often. We'll go to 3.5 on that. Keep those little bits for now in case we need them for some decoration. Make sure we got these back in order. 2, 3, 4. Back on track. I will fix the measurements on the PDF before I post it up, so you're not all having to cut bits off. I was hoping I hadn't cut the main panel wrong, which it would have been. You can have this wider than your mechanism piece, but not narrower. Otherwise, your mechanism will show. You could go maybe half an inch wider if you wanted to. It wouldn't make any difference to the workings of the card. But I chose to do it exactly the same width because you'll see in a minute how it's easier to line up. I had a birthday the other day, so nice quiet time for me. My hubby's away at the moment, so I'm here by myself, which is very quiet. So we've done that. I will put these other decorations on, and now I'm leaving all of this flat inside because I don't want too much bulk. I'm going to put that one there, and best wishes, wishing you the brightest birthday. The best wishes is out of that artistically inked, and this is out of the Daisy, Cheerful Daisy stamp set. And I'm just going to lay those flat. And this die is out of the Cheerful Daisies as well, and it fits perfectly inside these panels. You don't want anything going across those score lines. I'm just going to line that up, and they go from edge to edge on the DSP, which worked out perfect. If you've got any small greetings that'll fit in there, you can line it all up. So that one will go there. I did do them. I don't normally line things up straight. And I'm not going to put anything on either of those. I think the background of this is a lot more busy, and I like to show that pattern as well. That's all on the inside, that's on the front. So now what we're going to do here, I'm going to measure, and this you can eyeball it if you like, but I chose to do it this way, and that way I know it's not going to be wrong. So I'm going from this edge here across, and I'm just putting a little pencil line at 1 7/8 and down to the center here at 1 7/8, and that's just on this top right corner. And I'm just going to put a pencil line across from those. It can be less than that if you want, but I thought I'd, and now this one you want on the bottom section, 1 7/8 and 1 7/8 there. Oops, not up there, wrong one. Rub that out. 1 7/8 in the center. You just want it on the top right corner and the bottom left corner. And we're going to put tear and tape on those. Just draw a light line across there. You can rub that out, but you won't see it anyway. It'll be down underneath. So I'm going to go with the tear and tape again. I think I went this way, and I'm just going to put 3 pieces across here. Scissors. And you must only put it in these sections, otherwise it won't work with the mechanism. So you remember bottom left and top right, just across that far, not all the way across and not all the way to the top. And the same over this side. You could put more strips across if you particularly want it stuck down well. 3 is quite sufficient for this. Just give those a bit of a burnish. Always do that because it sticks the gluey part down better by pushing those across with that. Now my pick tool, and I'll do one at a time here because I don't want that bottom one catching while I'm trying to do the top one. So this panel here, now it's this way, make sure you've got it up the right way. That will eventually push back in there. This, with it up the right way, this top corner here, all you're going to do, because it's the same width, you're going to, make sure I'm in camera here, line it up perfectly square in that corner. So because it's the same width as the one below, you can just square it up all the way along. sure it's nice and square. And then you're just going to stick that top corner down. And then the same over this side. Don't take the second lot off at the same time as the first, because if this side catches while you're trying to get that top, it's not pretty. So this one here, all you're going to do, just put your finger and your thumb there in the corner and line it up perfectly all the way around and stick that down. And then you will see, now you just might have to move this a little bit to get the mechanism to work, but once it's in there, just push, give it a push. Takes a little bit of manoeuvring for the first go. Those two centerpieces have to be pushed inwards. I think you can see down in there. Make sure the cross score line needs to be as a mountain fold, and then just push that down like so. And it's not too thick. It probably need extra postage if you're posting it. Now I chose to put ribbon around. As you can see, it doesn't sit flat, but you don't have to put ribbon. It's quite okay like that, but I do like that. Sometimes I use magnets, but this one I've chosen the twine. This one I'm putting on the front. Now you can put the front on, because the ribbon, or I'm using twine today, it goes from the back, so this one can go down onto the white. I did put a border of white around it. You could put the DSP straight onto the front if you want, but I like the border against the copper clay. The copper clay, when I first saw it, I thought, oh, I don't like that colour, but depending what you put it with, these two colours, this blue and the copper clay and the white, look so nice together, and you don't see a lot of the copper clay anyway. The other one is I think it's called Wild Wheat. I'm not sure about that colour either, but we'll work with it and we'll make it work. Actually, I did see a post the other day. A lady put it, and it looks a bit like gold when you put it behind something, which was quite nice. So I've got that, and then up here I'm going to put this, and I thought I put dimensionals on that, but I haven't yet. Oh no, wrong one. This one, that one's going inside. So we'll open this one up and we'll finish inside here. This one's going flat in here. I'll just put some glue on the back of this. The centers of this, I'll show you in a sec once I get a bit of glue on. I put a little bit of ink, because I haven't bought the blends yet. I put some ink on a block, and then I used my Wink of Stella, and I picked up the colour with the Wink of Stella, and you can wipe your brush off when you're finished. Picked up a bit of ink and used Wink of Stella in the centres with the ink. So I'll put that one in there. Just make sure it's stuck down all the way so it doesn't catch on your card. So that's that one. Just took the plainness off that there. That. This one is going on the front, which I've already put the dimensionals on the back. I did have them the other way around, but I like this arrangement better for the front. The other one was a bit too much. Just take the backs off those. I'll put that. This just gives a little bit of height at the front. And there was a bit of a blank space up there anyway. And then I've just got this little hello. I didn't know what to put on the front because I've already got happy birthday inside. I didn't want to put another birthday greeting on the front. I'm just going to sit this down here in amongst the flowers. I have got some embellishments as well. We'll put on in a minute. That is that. Now remember to put your twine before. I was going to stamp the back of that, but I might try it after. I was going to put some sort of stamp on the back. We'll stick this Actually, I might do it while there is a nice little arrangement. I shall stamp it while it's on here. So I know once I get it on the card, it might not work. We'll get our boho blue. I don't normally stamp on camera, only because I like to have it all prepped beforehand. But we'll do it this way. Just get a block. This is just a little arrangement of blue flowers. I'm just going to put this, I might just practice on a piece of scrap first, just to make sure it's a bit dark. I might stamp off. I'll just do a little group up in the corner here. I don't know if I got them all inked up. That will be fine. I don't want it too dark. Just put that aside. Then the DSP. Just checking all the time to make sure I've got it the right way up. That needs to be stuck down a little bit better in there. I'll fix that in a sec. What I'm going to do is put a strip of tear and tape across the back here. Now, I'm going to put it down below the hello at the back, so I want it quite low. Just put a strip of that across just to hold my twine. And I'm just using the basic, wherever I put it, here we go. I'm just going to use white. This is one carried over, Baker's Twine Essentials Pack. I'm just going to use the white out of this. And I'm going to do probably 3 lengths. Make sure I've got enough to tie a bow. That will be plenty. So about that long. And I'm going to do 3. It's probably a little bit too much. If ever you drop ribbon or twine, don't try and stop it grabbing it, because it'll roll even further. I just let the whole thing go and then it stops and doesn't all unravel. I don't know if anyone else has done that before. Right, so we've got 3 lengths there. I'll just push this down a little bit. Take the backing off that. And we'll put this in the centre, like so. That just gives it something to grab onto. Then we can put this on top, like so. I might use my snail for this one just to give it a bit of extra strength. Stamp and seal. I always tend to call it snail. Make sure I get to the edges. Check to make sure I've got it up the right way. And we'll centre that on the back. Nice and secure. Turn this upside down first. And you'll see what I mean about having it upside down with a bow. Got lots more length this time anyway. I just found that other ribbon is a little bit thick for tying bows. It ended up a bit chunky. I don't know if anyone else has got tweezers like this. They're like reverse ones, and it's good to have something to hold when we get it in the right spot. Hold a bow while you're trying to tie a bow. So that it sort of works in reverse of your normal tweezers. we go. I'm not going to trim the ends of that either just yet. So that is that. So I'll trim one of them. It's a way bit longer than the other. That one there. And then I've got some embellishments here. Where do I put them? And I'm going to use these copper clay ones as well. These are the new 2325 in colour dots, and they're so pretty. They're really shiny. I did use the boho blue ones the other day, so I'll use some of the copper clay. I'll just put a couple on. These nice big ones. Put one up there, one in there, and one down the bottom. Down here. And there you go. That is how it is done. So you can see why I called it easy, because then it's not all hanging out. I was going to do a video on this a couple of months ago now, and I, for the life of me, could not find one that would not hang out over the edges. So I'm really happy with this one. I hope you give it a go. I won't tie that one up again. But you can see how it works. If you do stick anything here, which I'm going to go back and stick that down a little bit better, just make sure, because it will catch as you're closing it up. Make sure everything's flat inside. That's it for me today. I hope you enjoyed that, and leave some comments if you like what I do, and I shall catch you all again next week. Have a lovely week. Bye for now.